Welcome to the Relentless Minds podcast with Lori Jimenez, a platform where influential entrepreneurs get real and share their stories of challenges in life that they've had to face head-on and conquer in order to be where they are today. Here, you'll get an inside look at the adversities that these individuals have experienced or are currently dealing with, in addition to their opinions on real-life matters and philosophies in life. Most importantly, you'll learn what it takes to have a relentless mind so that you too can stay headstrong in your pursuit of a better future. In this podcast, you're going to get 100% authenticity from people that have figured out how to beat the noise that society creates and have a higher level of self-mastery. Hi, welcome back to my podcast, Relentless Minds. Today I have with me Ryan Blakeley. Ryan Blakeley was born and raised in Maryland and was previously a member of the SWAT team in Charleston County for 6 years before he switched gears and started his own company. He is currently the CEO of Skulls and Barbells Training, Apparel, LML, which stands for Let Me Live My Life, and My Body, My Lifestyle. So these are 4 different companies that Ryan is the CEO of. Thank you so much for being here today with me, Ryan.
Of course, absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
So first of all, I kind of want you to go over all these companies.
Okay.
So that's a lot. That's a lot you have on your plate right now.
So it actually all started with the training side, Skulls and Barbells. So I used to compete myself from 2004 till 2010. And actually on top of that, I just finished competing about 9 or 10 weeks ago after a 10-year hiatus off stage, which was pretty interesting. But with doing all of that competing myself, as I was very involved in all that, of course, when your friends see your body changing and transforming and they see everything you're trying to do and then they finally see the end product up on stage, everybody kind of wants to, if they're interested in that type of fitness, they want to also do it as well. So I had a lot of people that came to me, hey, can you help coach me? Can you do this? And I started coaching a couple of my friends, just lightly, like nothing crazy, and I, let everybody know, look, I've never coached before. Like I've done it and I can help you, but like don't expect to go up there and win. Like I don't know it like that.
You did it for yourself.
So I did it for myself, actually. Right? So when people are trying to pull it from you, it's like, hey, I'm not a coach. I'm just a competitor as well. Yeah, but like you're my boy. Like I'll help you see what we can do.
Disclaimer.
So the first year that I got into coaching, and I guess I'll backtrack a little bit. I started just helping people, just friends, just here and there, and then when I finally moved to Arlington, I started actually prepping people for shows. And I had a friend of mine I worked with in the Diplomatic Security Command Center in Roslyn. And he was like, hey man, like I know we've been training together. I really want to get into competing. Like, can you help me? And of course I gave him the same spiel. Like, like I can help you, but like, that's not what I do, you know? So I did. He ended up getting first place in his first show.
Wow.
And then at that point, some other people were like, hey, I saw what you did with Mike. Can you come and help me? And so I started like loosely helping coach other people. Now, meanwhile, I had a full-time job at this point. And it just started going, or getting more and more and more inquiries. And the second show that I ended up prepping some people for is I had a girlfriend of mine at the time and some of her friends that all wanted to compete. So my girlfriend obviously lived with me at the time, so she had no option. She couldn't cheat. She had to follow the plan. And I was like right there on her the whole time. Yeah. So she ends up winning novice and open for bikini class, and the other 3 girls that I had that competed with her all placed top 5.
Wow.
So they were all bikini girls at that point. So then every bikini girl that was there was wondering, who's your coach? Who's your team? Who's this? Who's that? And that's kind of how I really got started, because that show right there really threw a lot of people at me. And it actually, the majority of the girls that I got, or guys, or people that I got, were girls that were interested in bikini. So right off the rip, I became like the bikini guru. So a lot of the girls I still have, or athletes I still have to this day, are majority are bikini athletes. So that's kind of how the training side got started. Yeah. And coming from law enforcement, and I went to an all guys Catholic high school. I went to a military college, so I was very uniformed my whole life. And for me, coaching, I was like, well, it's cool that everybody looks awesome, but like when we go to these events and we go to these shows, if one guy's wearing all Under Armour and they have this girl wearing all Nike and then another girl wearing half Adidas and half whatever, it's like, it's just kind of ragtag. Yep. So I was like, we need to have like uniforms. Like if we're a team, we should look like a team.
I like it.
So out of pocket, I bought like some hats and some shirts and some robes for the girls. I kind of wanted to like outfit the team So we could kind of all, when we walk into a show, everybody knows who we are. And it was funny because the first show that I actually gave everybody the team gear, my athletes at the time asked if I would come down to one of the rooms the night before our big show for this like team meeting. And I'm like, look, I call the team meeting. It's like, I'm the coach. What do y'all mean you're calling a team meeting? So I go down there, and they basically brought me down because they presented me this like coach's hoodie. So it was like the first thing that I ever got from like the team, and it was like super dope because I gave them all these uniforms, and they gave me this like hoodie. I still have it to this day. I wear it all the time, and it said like coach on it. It had skulls and barbels on the. So they went behind my back and got all these logos and everything, and then made it and surprised me. So it was like super cool. But the point of all that was this whole build up and all the training. Once we started getting the hats and the shirts and the hoodies and the robes and everything else, whenever we would go to these shows, everyone would be like, oh, dude, that's like a dope hat. Can I get it? Can I get a shirt? Can I get this? Can I get that? And I'm like, nah, man, like if you want this, you have to join the team. This is like team gear. We don't just give this out to anybody. Well, after this went on for a long period of time, the first year, the second year, we found like, you know what, like we should do apparel. Everybody wants it. We might as well. So then we opened up Skulls and Barbels Apparel. So that was the second LLC that we created. We ended up doing the apparel side. So then you have Skulls and Barbels Training Services. Then you have Skulls and Barbels Apparel. And that was going on for, I guess, about 2 years. And then after that, I actually ended up getting a shirt made that was just for me. And it was an all-black shirt, and it had gold LMLML across it for Let Me Live My Life. Because I used to always say that all the time. Everyone would say something because I'd like to live very outside the box. Like, if society says this is how you should do it, then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go this route and do it this way. Because it just, you got to think about it again. My whole life, all-guy Catholic school, coat and tie, everybody wore the same thing. Went to the Citadel Military College in South Carolina. Everybody wears the same thing. Then I was a cop. Everybody wears the same uniform.
And regulated.
So I'm literally,
like
exactly.
Crazy.
So my whole life, I'm in the same spectrum as everybody else. Same uniform, same this, same that, same everything. So I finally started breaking out on my own. And when I became a police officer and I kind of started seeing a lot of different stuff, then I was like, man, like nothing, you don't have to be the same as everybody else. Like you can kind of be your own thing. So that's kind of where that all started. So I used to always comment when someone's like, well, you can't do that, or why you do this, or why you do that. I'm like, bro, like,
just let me live my
life, man. So, and I didn't come up with the phrase. I'm sure that phrase has been around forever, but it's a phrase that I've always used. And so I got this shirt made just for me. It's more of like a joke with everybody. And that was when Snapchat was really big. So every time I'm wearing this shirt and I'm Snapchatting this and that and everything else, because back then I literally would snap my entire day, which is kind of how the brands got built. But everybody was like, man, where's that shirt on the site? We don't see it. We can't find it. So long story short, we ended up dropping we called it the CEO line because it was like the shirt that I made and like being the CEO. I was like, this is going to be the CEO line. And it's black and gold. It's very gaudy. Like, this is what we're doing. So we dropped LMLML under Skulls and Barbels. And it literally did so well. We started doing like different items, different, articles of clothing, like different accessories. And like no matter what we did, we put LMLML on it. Gone, sold out. So we literally just recently started expanding and brought LMML out of Skulls and Barbels and made it its own brand. So that actually drops tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Ooh,
so
exciting.
The LMML, that's how LMML got started. So now LMML is its own brand basically, and it's a more of a kind of standalone, do your own thing. Like, don't worry about what other people say. Focus on you. Stay your own path.
It's a strong message.
Not necessarily anti-society, but like anti-society's norm. So when society's like, well, everybody should do this, you can't put everybody in one category. So like you have a lot of people that like to do their own thing and venture out. And of course, like you have your entrepreneurs. You have your people that might have a hobby that other people aren't really into. Like there's things out there that people do that they need to have a group of people that believe in the same thing, where it's like, bro, step outside the box. Do what if that makes you happy, that's what you should do. Because if you have 5 or 6 other people saying, well, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that, but this is what makes you happy.
Exactly.
You're going to go with what makes you happy, or go with what 5 or 6 other people are telling you. Like, you're going to go with what makes you happy. So that's where LMNL came from, to kind of like stand your own ground and for your own beliefs and stuff.
Awesome.
And then to touch on my body, my lifestyle, how that is, that basically, a lot of the plans that I do for the training are all coached. So I have a bunch of athletes. They check with me every week or every couple of days, depending on where they are. and it's all coached. So I'm literally overseeing their training, their nutrition, their cardio, their supplements, like everything. Some people can't afford coaching. Some people don't really like to be coached. It's not for everybody. But now we have a program called My Body, My Lifestyle, which is a 12-week challenge that you basically purchase from mybodymylifestyle.com, and it comes with a macro calculator that I put together. It comes with a list of 100 foods that you can use for the program, and then it comes with a 43 or 44 page packet that literally tells you how to coach yourself on your own fitness journey.
Interesting.
So what you do is you purchase this, you get all your stuff, you put all your information on the macro calculator, you hit enter, it gives you everything you need, you match your intake for the day that it gives you to the foods list I have, and then there's a 40-page packet that explains to you how to work all of this on your own, so you don't have to have a coach. You can coach yourself. And then it explains when you hit a stalemate what you do, you hit a plateau, what you do. Also comes with the 12-week training program. So basically you're getting a 100% do-it-yourself kit to build your best physique on your own.
Yep.
So there's a lot of science behind it, a lot of late nights behind it, a lot of just personal experience and everything else that's been put into this packet is super, super dope. So those are the 4 brands that I oversee. I literally just this year I got a personal assistant. We're now looking for a warehouse. So we're starting to grow as things go on. So a lot of the goals that we've set for 2019 are going to be really, really cool. So I'm really excited. It's going to be a really good year.
Oh
I feel like,
God.
Even though, depending on how you look at it, 2.5 years as an entrepreneur, it's a short amount of time, but it's also a lot amount of time. You know what I mean? So it really just kind of on your insight, kind of how you feel with time frame.
Yep.
I feel like 2.5 years is I wish I was where I'm looking at for 2019. Right now.
Yeah.
But again, everybody has that mindset. You always want to be so
you want to be hungry.
Right. You always want to be hungry. So I tell people all the time, never satisfied but always hungry. And so 2019 should be a really good year. We usually try to keep 3, 6, and 9 month goals.
That's awesome.
So the warehouse is our main focus point right now. So we're hoping by May or so, 2019 will be locked in on that, and that's
awesome.
when we really think things are going to ramp up. So.
That's crazy. That's a lot to have gotten done in 2.5 years.
It is, but once you start focusing on something,
and you committed yourself,
exactly.
100%.
That's the thing. It's commitment, and when you commit yourself 100% to something, and you run it, you can do whatever you want, because you don't have anybody saying, oh, you can only run one brand, you can only work 8 hours a day, you can only work Monday through Friday. As an entrepreneur, there's no cap. So, next week, I don't know, I might have a 5th brand. You know what I mean? Who knows? Because you're always thinking, because you're like, oh, that's such a great idea. Why has no one thought about that? Oh, well, but you also have to make sure, and this is where I get in a lot of trouble, is I want to do 12 or 15 different things at once, because that's how my mind works.
Yep.
But I have these 4 projects right now that I'm just trying to focus on all 4 of those, and splitting the time between all 4 in a week period, or even to get it in a day, that's very, very hard, and especially running the 4 brands, and
they're all starting off right now.
That's all starting off, and then the hard thing is all the athletes I have are coached athletes, so I'm all every day I'm dealing with check-ins with that, plus keeping the brands afloat. So, I rep Team No Sleep a lot.
I've seen your social media. You're constantly working.
It's really funny, though, because you'll be surprised how many followers on Instagram are concerned with, my sleep and my health. Because, I'm snapping or I post a photo and they're always like, is everything okay? I feel like you need some more sleep. Oh, my God, you never sleep. It's very interesting. It's very interesting how many people love to comment about that.
Yeah.
But it's good, though, because when you're out there and you're working these brands and social media, oh my God, the tool is amazing. You can use it for good and you can use it for bad. And it just really is that fine line on what you want to use social media for. But I'm a very firm believer, and I try to preach all the time, use social media as a positive platform. Because there's so many people out there that use it for a negative platform, and it just kills me. I don't.
You have full control, but that's the good thing about it, you know, because you can influence people in a positive way.
Which is what everybody
should. You know, it's crazy to me because like you're so ambitious. Like you're crazy. Like your mindset. Like you're just thinking about that next thing, how you can improve things, and all of that. But for the majority of your life, you lived in a setting that was really structured, right? So it was like a corporate job, and then you were a police officer, or you were a sheriff's deputy.
Sheriff's deputy, there you
go. so tell me about that, like, because you were in the Citadel.
I was. So real quick, I want to go back just a little bit early on in life. Like, so my dad was a Marine, and my mom was a nurse. Mm-hmm. So I literally was born into, like, the most all-American family you could have. We lived on the 8th hole of a golf course. Literally, no bullshit, had a white picket fence, American flag. You know, I have a sister, and we had a black lab. Oh, so like, literally, like, I grew up from day one as, like, the all-American family. You know what I mean? Like, mom, dad, sister, brother, black lab, white picket fence, American flag, golf course. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't even own a pair of jeans until I was, like, probably out of college, because I was always like, you have to wear khakis and a polo shirt and everything else. So everything was very, very regimented growing up. But that's where all my core values came from, because, you know what I mean? My parents were very, very old school, very, very just all-American, very, very stern, very, very, like, they praised you when you needed to, they got in you when you did wrong. You know what I mean? Like, they were very, very good parents. I'm very fortunate for the way that they brought me up. And then, of course, like, I didn't want to go to the college prep school that they sent me to for high school, but I'm glad they did. I didn't want to go to the military college necessarily, but, like, that's what was my options. They wanted me to go to college. So I was like, well, if we're going to go to a military college, and that's how that went. So all of that kind of led to where I am right now. And then I believe, because I'm a very firm believer on mindset. Yeah. And I think that starts very early on. And that's who teaches it to you. So I'm very fortunate that my dad taught me a lot of the mindset and values that I do have today. But to go to the law enforcement side, probably, in all honesty, I love what I do right now. I've loved every profession that I've had. But my heart and my soul is law enforcement. Like, I mean, that job was the best job I ever had. That job right there, I swear, has taught me almost everything I needed in life to be where I am right now. Because right out of college, 21 years old, I'm now dealing with everybody's problems. Wow. You know what I mean? So you have this 21-year-old kid who's just like, I hated school, but I love to be active. So, like, being a cop was, like, the perfect job for me, It was great because I was outside. I was, running around the county. I was going to a different house every hour or so on a different call. So instead of sitting in the office and just being, like, bored out of my mind, I'd go to a domestic and I'd handle that, and then I'd get sent to, like, a barking dog call. And then from the barking dog call, I got sent to, like, a 911 hang up. Then it was, like, a fight. And then it was, like, a stolen purse.
A cat in a tree.
And yeah, the cat in the tree and everything, right? So it was very cool, because for someone like me, like, that ADD mindset that's just like, I can't focus on one thing at a time, it was the perfect job for me, because, like, you go to one scene, close it, go to the next one, and everything's different. So that job was, like, perfect for me. And I just really loved it. Like, the amount of responsibility you had at such a young age, the amount of confidence you had to, like, have in yourself and your peers at such a young age, the amount you had to actually think and try to process at once being a police officer, because you're getting so much information at once, and you're running so many different scenes and scenarios. So that job right there taught me so much about myself. And I think the number one thing that it taught me was confidence. Like, you go to a scene by yourself, say a domestic, and you have a husband and a wife, and they're screaming and yelling, and one's threatening someone else with a knife, the other person's got a bat, and you're there by yourself waiting for your partners to get there, and you're like, do I grab one? Do I wait for my partner? Do I have to fight someone? Do I tell them they're under arrest? Like, you have to think on your feet that whole time. Yeah. When you're young like that and you have all the responsibility, you learn very fast. Yeah. And I loved that job. The only reason I left was because I got offered another position to go overseas, and yes, it was a lot of money to go over there, but it was like, it was a change of profession, and I was doing the police officer for a while, and like, I just, all my friends that were in the military were getting deployed, and I just felt like it was time to kind of move on. So when I got recruited to go to this course with DynCorp International, I ended up leaving law enforcement. But law enforcement, to this day, I tell you all the time, was the absolute hands down number one job that, like, I love. Like, I love to death. The number one question I get all the time when I say that, they're like, well, why are you not a cop right now?
Yeah.
And I actually got rehired by the sheriff's office when I left, or when I came back from Iraq. But they wouldn't budge with me on pay. They were like, they wanted to bring me on lower than what I did when I left, and I thought that was unfair. So I literally waited it out till the day I needed to report after I got hired, and like they still weren't budging. And I talked to finance or human affairs on the phone, and they weren't having it. And I was like, all right. So I was like, you can give this position to someone that's fresh out of the academy that needs it. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
So I moved up to Maryland with my parents for a little bit. Put my house on. I rented my house out, and then that's when I started like looking for some like, you know, other professions and everything like that. And then when I end up getting ready to go back overseas, the one company here in Arlington, OGS, they actually had reached out to me when I was in Iraq to recruit me, and that started to go through. And I was in the process to actually applying for other law enforcement jobs when this actually came in and landed, and the clearance went through, and you know I was waiting for a couple months, and that happened, and then that's how I ended up coming to DC. So
interesting.
That's when I got the position here with OGS, and that was right in the Diplomatic Security Command Center in Roslyn.
Oh, Roslyn.
And that was 2012 that I worked with them from 2012 to the middle of 2015. And then that was when I made the major leap, the biggest challenge of my whole life. The biggest
challenge of your whole life.
Leaving the corporate world, basically, or working for somebody to working for yourself.
That's insane. What made you make that jump? Like, that's a big move.
It's a big jump. So, it's a scary jump, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So, you know, like I said, I was kind of coaching on my own a little bit. And when I was working for the State Department, I was kind of, you know, doing that task. And I was a supervisor there, and I had 13 people at the time, local, or, you know, here at the State Department annexes that we worked. And then I had a couple people overseas that we monitored for deployments. And while I was doing that, and I'm coaching on the side, it was very manageable, and it worked in the beginning for about a year or so, or 2 years or so. It was good because I could manage both of it. But then when I started getting more and more and more athletes, and I started kind of pushing Instagram a little bit more, and I was kind of really having fun with like building this team and like getting the you know, the hats and the shirts and the ropes and everything we were talking about doing. It was like I was building my own brand at the time, but didn't know I was building my own brand. I was just like trying to put a team together to give people an outlet to be with, you know, people that did the same thing they did. So, you know, in bodybuilding, it's very individualistic. It's like, it's you. Like, you diet, you train, you compete. Like, it's not like you don't go to practice. Like, you don't meet with a team. You don't do stuff like that. But I wanted it to be like that because I came from team environments my whole life. Like, you know, they always, you know, joke, they say teamwork makes the dream work, and it does, because you can only do so much by yourself. And so as this started to kind of grow, it got to the point where I was like, fuck, I can't manage working full time and managing all these people as a supervisor and dealing with all these athletes and trying to have a personal life. Like, it was too much. So got to the point where it was like, all right, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna quit coaching and just put everything into your job, or you want to quit your job and put everything into building a brand? So there's a lot of sleepless nights trying to figure that out. And the one thing that literally made me make this change is I looked at it and I was like, okay, there's all these people that work for themselves, like around the world, right? And you have a lot of people, especially here in the United States, that come from other countries. And, you know, everybody says this is the land of opportunity. And everybody, like, laughs at that. Like, it's so cliche. Oh, America, land of opportunity. But it's so true. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, everybody from all these other countries come in here, and, like, they're just killing it. Like, they come in here, and they get a job, or they open a store, or they open a brand, or they do whatever, and they're just really doing well. And I'm trying to think, I'm like, why? Like, why do they do so well? Well, you look at it, and it's like, well, when they come over here, because they're like, look, things aren't going well where I live or whatever, and I need opportunity, and I need to build things for my family or whatever, and then they come here, like, again, land of opportunity, right? And they build a brand, they build a business, they do whatever, and they kill it. Why? Because they have no other option. Their back's against the wall. They make money, they make it work, or they don't, and they fail, and then they're just screwed. And you have a lot of people that try to do brands, and they try to do this, and you talk to them about it, and they're like, yeah, you know, like when I go home at night after my job, and I do this and I do that, and then on the weekends I kind of grind a little bit, but they have another job to fall back on.
Yep.
So
exactly.
if you don't grind Saturday and Sunday, it's all good, man, because your paycheck's coming in from your job.
Mm-hmm.
But these other people that don't have that are putting everything into it to work for themselves, they have to work all the time, because if they don't, they fail.
Yep.
So I looked at that and I was like, that's the difference between people that make it and people that don't. Is people that make it have no option to make it. The people that kind of sort of like do something on the side, like they're not pressed for it. So like there might be a passion.
They're comfortable.
Exactly, they're comfortable. It's a very good word.
Yeah.
They might not be like crazy passionate about it. They might really love it, but they just work on it as like a hobby. So I was like, you know what? If that's what needs to be done, if you have to go to be successful, you have to go all in.
Yep.
Then that's what I'm going to do. So when I made the decision to go all in, I was like, all right, how much money do I have saved up? How long can I go without getting paid? Like, what's the deal? Like, you know, how am I going to make this work?
Yep.
And I was doing really well coaching with my State Department job. And I was kind of using like coaching as like kind of like if I wanted to travel, I'd use the money for travel, or like, you know, at first I took all the money I'd make from coaching and flip it back into the company and do like cheat nights with the team and pay for it here and there, or I'd get like the new shirts or hats. I used to kind of put it back into the brand because I had another job. Like I was making money to live on. So it was very stressful at first because I'm like, what if I make nothing? Like what if I quit and then all of a sudden everybody quits on me? Like then what? So I was like, nope, just got to go all in. Like luckily, I can always go back at some point to be a police officer. Like if I always get back in the I can always do something, you know? And I was like, all right. So I went ahead and I left and I took my suits that I had because with State Department, it was a coat and tie job. So I took all my suits and ties and everything else and I gave them the Goodwill. And I went like a couple days later and I got the outsides of my hand tattooed.
That's insane.
And the left one is CEO, obviously, because I'm CEO of the brand. And then the right one is LMLML for Let Me Live My Life. So I was like, if I get my hands tattooed, I can never, even if I wear a suit, coat, tie, whatever, they're still visible. And a lot of people, like, they have a tattoo policy. Nothing below the cuffs, nothing outside the neck, whatever. So I'm like, well, if I get my hands tattooed, I can't get back to the corporate world. Like, I'm all in at this point.
That's insane. Yeah,
so,
no backing out.
So I did that, and that's kind of was my big push at that point. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm all in.
I can't imagine you were getting your hands tattooed and you're like, wow, like this means
that's
so
it.
much right
you
now.
Know,
yeah.
Like it was a big step. Just I'm very heavily tattooed. I love tattoos. But it was the first set of tattoos I got that like anybody could see. Because even when I was with the State Department, there was people that I worked with there that never even knew I was tattooed because I was in a coat and tie. You know. So not only that, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have to face my parents with my hands tattooed because they were like, we don't care what you do, just don't get your hands, your face, or your neck tattooed. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So they got my hands tattooed, so then I was like, oh, so mom, dad, like, I'm like in my mid-30s, and I'm like scared to tell my parents like, my face, But then again, it's ironic because it's like, well, you can't be afraid. You have LMLML, which stands for Let Me Live My Life, tattooed on your hand.
You gotta embrace it.
So at this point, you have to embrace it and live your life. Yep. Like you have to just own it.
You're like, Mom, let me live my life.
I'm owning it, which is actually really funny now because whenever I go home and I see my parents, I'm really close with my family. I think family is very important. So whenever I go home, if my sister and I are like in a debate or we talk about something, whatever, my mom will always chime in. And like, if I'm not agreeing with like my sister or like my dad or somebody, my mom will chime in and be like, Ryan, you just let your sister live her life. Or she'll be like, just let me live my life.
Oh,
like,
that's funny.
So like now my whole family's like LMLML all the time. So
everybody.
It's actually, it's pretty funny. So,
wow,
but,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that got started. And then once that happened and I'm like,
you're all in.
I'm literally basically... I was like, am I unemployed or am I employed? Like, I'm working for myself. How does that really work? Like, self-employed? Like, I don't, I was new. So I was like, this feels really weird. But I was like, all right, well, now it's up to me, And like, it was weird because coaching and then working a full-time job, it's like you kind of fit it in when you could, right? But now I'm at a point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go to this job. Like, I wake up and like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So like now you have to, it's hard because now you have all this time to put everything in, but now you have to start organizing your own schedule, figuring out how you're going to get paid, figuring out what your next step is. Like, and at this point, now that I'm, in it to win it and I'm all by myself, there's like, okay, well, I can't just be stagnant. Like now I have to like grow.
Yeah.
So I need to get like more athletes. I need to get better at coaching. I need to think about maybe there's other ways to make money if I need to like make money or whatnot. So that's where the mind
You were starting
working.
to think, and did you like read books or listen to podcasts or stuff like that to kind of give you an idea of where to start? Because you completely just made that switch like from one day to the next.
I didn't do any books. I didn't really do much research. I kind of just like went with the flow. And in all honesty, I was new at the point on Instagram. So I'm like, well, now I guess I need a platform because I didn't have a platform before. So I opened up Instagram, started kind of playing with Instagram. I didn't really know much because I had like I was saying before we started the podcast, like my Instagram was mine and my business. So it was like super confusing, but I thought it was like the coolest thing ever because I like just started. I'm like, oh my god, I got Instagram. Like this photo's so dope. It's got like 10 likes. Like, you know what I mean? Like I thought I was like killing it. You know what I mean?
It's got 2 comments.
Exactly. Oh my god, someone just commented. I'm like, oh my god, this person has like 100 followers. Like holy shit, I got like 10. This is cooler. Like I had no idea what was going on. You know?
My god.
But I was enjoying it. I was having fun with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the number one thing. That I contribute a lot of like the success for me to where I am is that I've always had fun with it along the way.
Yeah.
You know, and
you're a positive person.
you have to be.
Yeah,
you know,
I can
because
see that.
I'm a very firm believer that like what you put out, you get back. So like if you put out positive vibes, you're gonna get them back. You know,
Love it.
and the hardest thing to do. And again, this is where falling back on being a police officer kind of helped. Is like even when you're fed negativity, you got to figure out a way to turn it around into positive. So you can't let other people talk ill to you. I mean, you can, but like you can't let yourself go back at it. You know, you can't let yourself go. Okay, well you're being negative with me, so now I need to be negative with you. Like you just need to find a way to like keep that positivity. Like don't let outside influences kind of change who you are.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing I think because when you're dealing with social media, when you're dealing with just the way society is right now, like there's a lot of negativity out there. And a lot of people like to sit there and they take their time out of their day to be negative on other people's...
On like Facebook posts and all of that, you see that
Instagram
like
posts, like
long ass
DMs,
posts.
like, and it's just like, if you would take half the amount of energy it took you to slam my last photo... Like you could be out there building your own brand or spreading positivity or doing something.
That
you know what I mean?
effort.
And exactly, like when you take effort and you push it out negative, it's just
breaks
bad
things
news.
down,
You know? But I'm a big firm believer in like karma and stuff like that. So like just let these people it'll come back around to them at some point. But you just can't let that affect you as a person because you have a certain persona to keep up with, or like you might. I mean, people see you all the time when you're on social media. So like. You're real. You gotta you're gonna have to show that at some point, but you just don't want to be negative about it. You know. So I do try to be very, very positive, as much as I can. But I'm also very fortunate. Like I look at being able to do what I'm doing as like a luxury. Like I'm in the greatest country in the world, and like I'm allowed to do whatever I want. Are you kidding me? Like I can run my own business. Like.
Yep.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome.
And you can, I mean, it can escalate, it can grow as much as you can.
Well, and that's
how
the
much
one
it
thing.
grows.
It's like, I was talking to one of my buddies the other day about entrepreneurship and everything, because I have a lot of friends now that are entrepreneurs. Because, like when you're looking for a car and you're like, oh, I want to go from a Honda Civic to a Jeep. Well, now every day you're out, all you see is Jeeps because it's in your head.
Yep.
So now that I'm being the entrepreneur route, a lot of people that I like meet or hang out with or connect with are now entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
It's just I happen to run into them more now because that's what I'm doing. And it's just very cool to kind of put all that into perspective and see literally how much positivity there is out there, and that you have so many people that are trying to share it, and that's what's super cool. That's what's really motivating to me. It's just the fact that there's so many people out there that want to do good, that are being positive, and it's just very, very cool thing to witness. And I think a lot of people don't see that when they work like a 9 to 5, because they're all stuck in a certain place and they're around the same people. And I'm very fortunate. Like I travel a lot, and like I meet a lot of people, and I love to network, and I'm all about good people, and I get slammed sometimes because like I'll rep other brands or I'll support other companies or whatever, and people find that odd, and I'm like, I don't, because like these other brands or companies or friends that I'm supporting are supporting me at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can do something to build somebody else's brand, why would I not? Like, it doesn't, we're all in this thing together. Like, you might have a different idea or a different route or a different way you want to handle something, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and also at the end of the day, it's like the people that you draw to your brand, and this is like big for me too, like self-branding, it's about what you're portraying. So if you come off as somebody who's selfish or somebody who's always me, people aren't necessarily going to care for what you're trying, that message 100%. That you're trying to give, you know. So if you're coming off as somebody, hey, you know, it's like good vibes for everyone, I'm not trying to just get all the attention here, it's people are they're gonna dig that, and they're gonna love what you're.
I agree.
Not only the message, but also your content, like everything. You know,
it's all about it. And you know, I tell people all the time. Some people believe me, some people don't. Some people question it. But so if you're negative, only certain people are gonna actually feed on your negativity. But if you're positive, everybody's gonna feed on positivity. So like, why not be positive?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I tell people all the time. Like, I get people a lot of my athletes say this. They're like, you know, I just love that you're always so positive, and like you're here and you're there, and I can talk to you, and like, you know, it's always positive. And like, if I need it, you got it. And I'm like, yeah, but I also came from such a different background, like with the positions and that I've had and the jobs I've had to what I'm doing now are completely different. Mm-hmm. But I've seen a lot of just negativity, a lot of bullshit, a lot of death, just a lot of shit that just is not necessarily like in a positive light. You know what I mean? Like, you know, a police officer, contractor overseas, like all the things that I saw during this time frame, it's just like I don't want to be involved in a lot of that because it's so negative. And like being around the world, you see this, like, people don't care about life. They could care less about positivity, or it's sad to see these things happen. And then like as a police officer, you just see a lot of like negativity, a lot of rundown people and families, and it's sad.
Yeah.
So like I've seen enough of that that I just want everything now to be positive. Yep. Like with anything that I can do to create positivity or pass positivity on, I'm all about it because I've already seen enough of the negative crap. I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
So,
but you like that environment though. For you, it's interesting because it's so negative, and some people would take it like it would affect them. But for you, you thrived in it because I feel like innately you have this positive perspective to life.
Well, I do because I think I've seen so many people that don't.
Yeah.
That I'm like, man, like, I don't want to live my life like that. Like, how can anyone want to live a life like that? So, you know, like, even when I was a police officer, I policed a lot different than a lot of police officers, I think. And my mentality, even as a cop, was to help, was to fix things. So, you know, I worked with a lot of good cops, worked with a lot of bad cops. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, that's just reality. But I was always trying to fix the situation. So, like, for me to just give someone a ticket and be like, all right, cool, this is your fine, see you in court. I'm like, that doesn't do a goddamn thing for anybody except make people mad and hate the police.
Exactly.
So, like, you know, the easiest thing I used to get all the time that I used to always do is, say, for instance, and obviously things are a lot different now with the world, is, you know, marijuana is getting legalized all over the place. But when I was a police officer, like, it wasn't legal anywhere. So, like, it was, you had marijuana, like, that was bad news. And I used to get a lot of young kids in Charleston that would have weed. And, like, not a big deal. Not the you know, I mean, it's not crack, it's not heroin. People aren't, like, doing all this crazy stuff for it. But at the time, like, marijuana was marijuana, you know? So I used to get kids all the time that were under 18 that would have it. And I'm like, look, I'm not just going to write this kid a ticket and take him to jail and tell his parents and go through this whole process and then just ruin this kid's life before he's even 18, where now he hates cops. So, like, I used to get kids all the time, and I'd get them with, like, simple possession of marijuana. And I'd write them a ticket for it, because you had to. It was an offense you had to write a ticket for. But I would say, all right, dude, look, this is your court date. You know, a month out, 4 months, or 4 weeks out, a month and a half out, whatever. I'm like, look, if you can write me a 2-page essay on why marijuana is bad and why you shouldn't be buying marijuana as a 17-year-old kid in this area, and it's sincere, the ticket's gone, I'm not notifying your parents, and you're not going to jail. And I would just hold that ticket. I wouldn't even take them to court. What? And literally within like a week, I only had like 1 or 2 people that just didn't do it. But I'd get these essays, and I'd sit there. They'd come to the station, they'd give them to me, or they'd call the station, and I'd go to their house and I'd get it from them. They usually would come to the station because they want their parents to know. And I'd read this, you know, 2-page essay or whatever you would call it. Or sometimes, like, if the kids were really shy, I'd have them read it because I want them to learn from this. So I think there was one essay I got that was just complete BS that, like, didn't work out for him. But everybody else, like, you know, I mean, probably we're talking about close to 60, 70 people maybe,
That's
you know, I did this with. But, like, every person I did that with was like, so I'm not going to jail? I'm not getting a ticket? I'm not getting a fine? I'm like, no, bro, like I told you write this essay and it's sincere.
Wow.
We're good.
Wow.
So they did that, and like, but see, now they're walking away with a positive outlook.
Exactly.
Man, like,
what an
this
impact.
dude could have arrested me, but instead I had to write him this bullshit 2-page essay. It took me 5 minutes, and I didn't get anything. So like, now he's 18 years old at this point. They have no record. Like, they're good to go.
Yeah.
And like, it might not have changed their whole life.
No, but you made
But
an
at least
impact.
it made somewhat of an impact for a certain period of time. So that's kind of how I policed. So, you know, I see guys a lot of times that had, say, like a suspended license, or they had like 6 unpaid tickets. Well, for every unpaid ticket, it's like a $475 fine. So you have 4 unpaid tickets. Now you're getting 4 tickets on top of that, and now your license is suspended. Are you mad or are you happy? You're pissed because now you got to pay all this money. You're already 4 tickets behind, and you have no license, and you're getting ready to go to jail because of all this. So what I used to always do, same thing with the kids with the marijuana, is I'm like, all right, dude, look, this is a shit ton of money. I'm not putting you in jail over this because it's just going to make your life miserable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write you a ticket for every single unpaid ticket you have, plus the no license. You're going to have somebody come pick you up, another person come get your car, not sending you to jail. By the court date, I want you to pay off all these tickets, get your license reinstated, and if everything's good to go, all these tickets get dropped when you come to court. Because now, instead of this guy having, you know, thousands of dollars extra fines, he has homework. He's got to go. He's got to go to the DMV. He's got to go to the courthouse. He's got to get his license fixed. He's got to pay these fines. He's got to cut some of the money out of his Christmas funds account to pay this or pay that. Like, he's got a lot of work to do. So why am I going to have him go through that and then take him to jail on top of it? Doesn't make sense to me. But if I did it that way, then they come to court and they're like, Mr. Blakey, look, I paid all 4 tickets. Here's my clean license. It's all reinstated. I'm good to go. And they show me all the proof of it. I dismissed our case right there in front of the judge. And,
you dismiss it?
Yep, right there in front of the judge.
Wow.
Because they took care of it.
Yeah.
So now they're like, oh my God, like, seriously? Like, now they have a license.
Yep.
They didn't get arrested. They didn't have to pay all these fines. They took care of what the county needs them to take care of anyway. I just did it a different way. Instead of just being like, okay, you have to go to jail and you have to pay all these 4 tickets plus the 4 you didn't pay before, and then you have to wait X amount of time to your license reinstated. To me, that just makes people hate the police.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not gonna.
In the system, it's just like it makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no sense to them.
So for me, policing was trying to find a way, as a police officer, around the system to make it work,
to make a difference
for society, because I want to make a difference.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be like
amazing.
that cop that was just like, you're going to jail, you're doing this, that's not fun to me. Like, bro, I don't care if you have a license or not. I have my license.
That's friggin'
but
awesome.
I want you to
High
have
five.
it. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to have it. So that's kind of the mindset that I had as a police officer, you know, and I made a very good name for myself for that, you know, and
you're respected, I'm sure.
It's funny because I still have a lot of people that still work at the sheriff's office I'm really good friends with, and they, you know, call me all the time. Like, they're like, hey bro, listen, I ran into, like, and we used to have like nicknames, you know, for like street names for all like the guys we arrested or interacted with and stuff. And a lot of these kids like still ask about me to this day. My boys are like, bro, we just talked to Turtle, and you know, and it's funny, we call this guy Turtle because I had a 19-minute and 22-second foot chase with this guy, and I called him. I mean, it's like, it was forever. But I was like, bro, you're so slow, you're like a turtle. I don't know why I said it, but his nickname on the street was Turtle at that time. So they still call him that to this day.
Interesting.
And I was basically just talking shit. I'm like, oh, you know, I called you, you're so slow, blah, blah, blah. He went to me. It was like 20 minutes. And he actually got caught by the dog. He got bit by the dog, not me. But like, you know, I earned a lot of street cred as a cop because of the way I policed, you know, because
you're fair.
You know, I wanted to be very fair.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
I
awesome.
can't tell you how many times I either got like in a foot chase or a fight or something else. And, you know, of course, they're talking shit to me, I'm talking shit back to them. Like, you know, I mean, we're out in the street, like, things are happening. But then by the time we get to the jail, they're like, it was cool. They're
mad
like,
respect,
man,
bro.
like, yeah, they're like, yeah, mad respect, bro. Like, you know, I got you. And then, like, you know, you see them in the street the next day, they're like, yo, but, you know, you're like, all right, man, it's like, stay out, you know, you're good, just whatever. And, like, so.
Wow.
But I also was very stern, too. Like, you know, like, when it came time to, there's some situations, like, that you're in that, like, you gotta be stern. You gotta be a cop. You know what I mean? So, but I loved it. Like, I loved the good, I loved the bad, like, I loved all that. And I think my favorite thing about being a cop is we used to have at the sheriff's office, and then we can go back to entrepreneur stuff. I'm like, man, this is the best job ever. Let's just talk about being a cop forever. We used to have this thing called a running shoe. So when you would get in a foot chase, an apprehension, and you actually apprehended the guy, you would get what's called a running shoe, and it would be like the sheriff's office did award ceremonies every month, and then at the end of the year they give you like they had like yearly awards. You get invited to like the big sheriff's office dinner and stuff, and I used to get, I don't even know why, but like everybody wanted to run from me all the time.
From you?
From me. But I love cardio and I love to run. So like when Negro was on, I'm like, all right, well, bro, like
you're one of a kind bodybuilder,
right? And so I ended up getting, I would get running shoe after running shoe after running shoe, and to the point where like I was invited to the sheriff's office award dinner yearly because I was getting running shoe of the year so much. Just getting so many running shoes, and that was probably one of the coolest things to me because like I didn't take the job. I took it serious, but like I didn't take it personal. But like to me, the foot chases were personal because I'm like, look, I compete. I go to the gym every day. These dudes are just hanging out, not doing anything, committing crimes, smoking weed, whatever. And if they outrun me, I feel pretty fucking bad. So I used to always make it a point to like, no matter what happens, like, I gotta catch this guy. So it got to the point where like if I wasn't catching him, like if I checked back on the radio and the guy was gone, like everybody was like calling, hey bro, so like you slow today or like what's going on? But I remember when I was when they gave you these coins for the running shoe, they would give you a decal of a tennis shoe to put on your the back of your cruiser. So kind of like imagine like I don't know anything about football, but like when the guys have those like stickers on the back of their helmets for football for like.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that. So the back of your car has these running shoes on it. So we used to get these little decals, and I remember when I had one of my tattoo appointments, I finished my sleeve. And my artist was like, hey, bro, like I got like an hour before my next client. Like, is there anything you want to get done? And I'm like, no, like, I got to always plan my tattoos out. Like, I'm not just like, oh, let me just get that picture on the wall and put it on my guy. Like, I'm not going to do that. But I was like, no, I'm good. Actually, I was like, you know what? No, I know what I want. And I drove my cruiser to that appointment that day. So I went out and I peeled off one of the running shoes. And I actually got both of the running shoes tattooed on the ankles right there, on like a little slant, if you can see it.
Yeah.
So like that slant is kind of like always in motion, so like you're always running with the bag, always kind of moving in the right direction. Kind of like,
love it. That's awesome.
But everyone asks out of all the tattoos, like, what's your favorite tattoo? I'm like, those because they mean so much more than anybody else because they're very symbolic.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that always keeps me kind of going because I'm always thinking like, okay, like everything's a foot chase. Like you gotta always get to the end, you gotta always win, you gotta always get here, you gotta always get there, you gotta always beat everybody.
You were just born to freaking kill it in life and make an impact on others.
I love it. It's fun.
You definitely are.
Fun.
Wow, that's amazing. So all of that's this mindset though. I mean, I can see it, like this growth mindset and this like just perseverant mindset that you have. It's like taking you so far. And now like 2.5 years into your business and you already built up 4 different branches. Mm-hmm. Like that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing stuff.
It's fun.
That's awesome. I love it. I really appreciate all of this information that you're bringing in and to all the listeners. I mean, like, it's just, like I said, mindset, that perspective in life and just kind of going for it and having a positive perspective. It really is going to take you farther because I feel like for a lot of people, if they see things in a negative view, like it's just like, I can't do that. Like that's too hard. Like that sort of mindset is just, it's inhibiting.
It's all about mindset.
It's inhibiting. Yeah. Right. And so if you're always saying, if you're not, like, even just being realistic, you can say, okay, well, it might not happen, but still just going for it. Mm-hmm. That will make the world of a difference.
Well, I tell people all the time, because everyone's always like, I want to get fit, I want to do this, do that. And I tell people all the time, like, everybody that gets into fitness always wants to chase that perfect freaking body. Like, jacked, shredded, ripped, just whatever you want to call it. Everybody wants to chase it. But you know what? Anyone that chases that type of physique, obviously is very dedicated to the grind. But you're never going to get it. I don't care how good you are, you're never going to get that perfect body. But even though we all know that, because even if we reached what in our mind was perfect, we would want more, we would want better, we would want to surpass that. Because the attitude and the mindset that got us to get to that perfect body is the same reason why that perfect body isn't going to cut it for us, that we want more. Like that's just the drive people have. But you're never going to get it. But that right there is what keeps everybody fueled. So like when people get up in the morning and they're like, they're in prep or they're just trying to change their body or they're trying to do whatever. Like I always tell them, just envision how you want to look. Like I don't care about the dude or the girl on Instagram, the guy with like the jack, the barrel chest and the ripped abs, or the girl with like the crazy glutes. Like that's cool to look at. Like double tap the picture all you want, but like don't want to look like that. picture in your head what you want to look like, and then chase that goal.
Exactly.
You'll never get it. I'm telling you that right now. You'll never get it. But driving towards that every day is what's going to make you better and better each day.
Use yourself as motivation.
You have to use yourself as motivation, But it all boils down from mindset. Like, I'm a very firm believer in mindset. And I tell people all the time, if you want to have a positive mind, do something first thing in the morning. As soon as you get up, that's positive. So, like, for me, I train in the morning. Because if I start working as soon as I get up, you won't catch me in the gym because I'll be so locked into everything I'm doing. I can't stop. So for me, I go to the gym. It's the one thing I do for me every day. It's positive because it sets the tone for the day. I have a good workout, and then I get home, and then it's just time to grind the rest of the day. So get up in the morning, do something positive, do something that's for you, that should make you happy, sets the tone for the rest of the day. For the rest of the day, And also when it comes to mindset, like, not only do you want to have a positive mind, but you have a strong mind. You need to be very, very strong. Because you get a lot of people that will falter when it comes to, like, they have a mindset of, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then someone else now comes in. Because in your head, it's a great idea. And someone else comes in and goes, oh, that's stupid. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, I don't know if this is a really good idea. Whatever they want to say. If your mind's not strong enough to believe in yourself and you start believing in other people, you're not going to make it.
Oh, my God.
So you've got to be mentally strong. And
such a good point.
One of my really good friends, who's a former Marine that I was actually roommates with when I was contracting, I'm still best friends with him to today. Very, very crazy thing he used to say all the time is, you want to be strong-minded, you should do one thing a day that sucks. So one thing a day that you don't want to do, you should do. And it helps strengthen.
Oh my God, it's that growth. Mind.
So it's just, and like,
that discomfort.
I know people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to not go to work because I don't want to go to work. So no, that's what I mean.
Different.
Like nobody likes taking a cold shower because it sucks. Okay, well then every night take a cold shower and just build that mentality that like, it sucks, but I'm going to do it, I'm going to get through it. And then after a while, the more and more you do things that you don't want to do, you become comfortable doing the things you don't. You start building your strong mindset.
Or talking to strangers, right? Being at Starbucks or going in the elevator and then just striking up a conversation with a stranger.
I mean, that to people all the time. Like, you might not even want to say anything. Just smile. Like, smiles are contagious. Like, if you smile, like, and they smile back, like, you're engaging. Like, it's confidence, and I mean, who's going to turn down a smile? You know what I mean? So, but you're right. I mean, like, even you see strangers, especially here in the DMV. Like,
oh my God.
Like, it's hard to talk to strangers because no one cares.
Exactly.
They don't.
They think you're weird.
They think you're very weird.
Okay. They want something from me.
You hold the door for somebody, and all of a sudden you're like hitting on them. You're like, I'm just being nice. Like, here. Like,
No, you're right.
Yeah,
but that's where it builds it up more because you're going to get rejected by people. People are not going to say, good morning back to you, or they're not going to smile back at you.
And that's the thing.
It's like you being able to continue that to the next with the next person is going to build it back.
You can't be afraid to fail. Like, in all honesty, if you want to be successful, you have to fail. Yeah. Because if you don't fail, you're not going to learn. The only thing that you really have to understand is that, like, you're gonna fuck up. Like, especially when you work for yourself. You don't know everything. Nobody does.
Yep.
You're gonna make bad decisions. You're gonna make ill choices. You're gonna do something in your mind that you think is awesome. That's just gonna fail tremendously. But as long as you don't make the same mistake twice, and you learn from that failure, you've now grown as a person. So the moment you let these failures get to you, it's over, man.
That's when it's actually
go back
a failure.
and work 9 to 5, where you have people tell you what to do. You know what I mean? But when you fail and you're like, damn, I thought that was such I do this all the time. I'm like, fuck, I thought that was such a good idea. Didn't work out for anything. I'm not gonna do that again.
It did work out for something. It worked out to teach you,
So, as long as you're willing to learn from your mistakes and just don't make the same mistake twice, you're golden. But it's when you get discouraged, and people laugh all the time. They're like, oh, they see these memes. Doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, it matters how many times you get back up. Like, I mean, it's true. Like, there's no rule book that says you can only fail 30 times before you're just a complete failure. No, like, as long as you learn from your mistakes.
As long as you keep going.
You fail as much as you want. Just be positive and learn something from it, and you can grow as a person. It's when you stop believing in yourself because of these failures.
Exactly.
That's when you start to really.
That's when you're it's the real failure. That's when you actually stop. When you actually stop and you don't keep going pursuing your dream.
Yeah. Well, when you decide to stop, then you're automatically just basically volunteering yourself to quit. You know what I mean? It's just like, why? Why would you want to quit at anything? Like, things might not work out, but it doesn't mean you quit. Like, that's just again, back to mindset. That's just a poor mindset. You know, like
you're completely right.
You don't want to do anything half-assed. You want to do everything full ass all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you always want to go in all the way. But you know, some people like they get a vision in mind, or they want to do something, and they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna give it a try. Like, no, do it. Like, make it happen.
Yeah, freaking awesome mindset. And I saw that from like the beginning. When you were just telling me about like your whole perspective of going through like SWAT team, and it's like I loved it, and it's like that sort of just perspective in life is going to take you so far, and I see that already, and that's
you want everyone to, you know, like the one thing is like anyone that lives a positive life, if you don't try to pass that on in some realm, like you're really not doing anybody a good service.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like if you're negative, I want you to stay to yourself because I don't care about it.
Yeah,
but if you're positive, I want you to share it. I want you to put it out there. I want you to get as many people involved as you can, and I just want you to thrive off of it. Like, there's too much negativity out there for the quiet people to stay. Stay quiet.
And that's probably your kind of like your motto in life. But I am gonna still ask you. So for like the final thought, right? Yes. So the final thought questions. The one that I chose for you was that if you were to have one message.
Is this gonna be a tough question?
No.
Okay.
If you were to have one message that you want the listeners to take away from this episode today, what would it be?
I think a lot of people are afraid or scared to go all in.
Yeah.
And I think if you have the right mindset and you want to drive towards a goal, keep that mindset very, very strong and do not veer off any path. Like if you have a goal, if you have a direction, go in it. Like don't ever second guess yourself. Like, but if you can stay strong and keep that mindset, and just if you really want something bad enough and you just do whatever it takes to get there, it's going to work out. How fast or how long, that I cannot tell you.
Yep.
But if you stay at it and you persevere and you just keep rolling, you stay the course, it's going to happen.
Awesome. You know? Love it. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And I know everybody's going to benefit from your nuggets of wisdom.
I hope.
I did want to finish off with just giving everyone your contact information.
Of course.
So if you wanted to reach out to Ryan Blakeley, you can reach out to his email at ryan@skullsandbarbells.com. His website is www.skullsandbarbells.com. And his Instagram is Skulls, so SKULLZ_CEO. Yep. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here.
I love being here. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
And thank you guys for listening. Until next time. That concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, feel inspired, and would like to hear more, please subscribe to the Relentless Minds podcast via the link in the show notes or visit LoriJimenez.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.